Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless, and everybody hear me and see me. All right, we're gonna send up the prayers. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever. Amen. Shalom, Israel. Happy new moon. Happy new moon. All praises. Scribe on deck. Scribe on deck. All right, this class we're gonna talk about not having fear. All right, that's why the class is named No Fear. A lot of times when we get into this truth, things happen. We get cornered basically. You know what I'm saying? Everybody tells us that we're in a cult, or we don't know what we're talking about, or they try to use our past, to justify us changing right now. And it's what it is it's it's a trick of the devil, basically. You know what I'm saying? And most of the time, Satan will use either family members or those that were close to us, close friends, and they will use that to like come against you. You know what I'm saying? Even when brothers that been with us for years, we go to camp, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of people come up against us. This class is to motivate us, all of us, myself included, to not have that fear on us at all and to believe that the Most High God is fighting this battle for us. Whether we can physically see it or not, He is fighting this battle for us. All right. Start with the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4. It says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." That's why we have to study daily. That's why there are things called the 4 chapters a day. All right. We have those things in place. That's why there are many, many, many classes that come out every single day so that we can study, so that we can look back into the days of old, so that we can look back into these scriptures and get the hope that we need. All right. Um, we want to Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. Second Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. It says, "For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." So when we look at it, God didn't create us to be afraid of anything. The only thing that we should fear is Him. And that fear of God, let me show you that real quick. Psalms 119, verse 120. Psalms chapter 119, verse 120. "My flesh trembleth for fear of thee, and I am afraid of thy judgments." The only thing that we should be fearing is the judgments of the Lord, which as we grow and learn this truth, we see that a lot of people, they don't fear the judgments of God. A lot of people use that term, only God can judge me. That should make you even more afraid. That should make you even more afraid. But onto the topic, the fear, that's the fear that we should have. We shouldn't be afraid of the things that men do or the things that come against us while we're in this truth, because it's going to happen. Christ already said that it's going to happen. If it happened to Him, it's for sure going to happen to us. All right. So the things that we have to understand is we are going through certain trials and tribulations to prove us, to test our faith, to make sure that our faith is on point. All right. The things that happen is not to destroy us at all, it's to make us better. All right. Go to the book of Matthew, chapter 10. Speaking of not fearing men, we're going to Matthew chapter 10. We're going to start at verse 28. It says, "And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear Him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell." And that's one of the things that we have to learn. A lot of people, they come up against this truth. A lot of people, they come up against us. It's not going to make no difference. It's not going to change what the Bible say. It's not. And that's what we have to understand as the followers of God. Nothing in this Bible is going to fail. It hasn't yet. Didn't we go into slavery all the way as slave ships? Ain't the coronavirus running rampant? Don't we have single mother homes, single parent homes? Ain't our brothers getting killed in the streets? Ain't the people that's killing them getting off not guilty? These things are happening. These things was written in the Bible to happen. So the person that we should fear is the person that's able to kill us soul and body. Not those people who threaten our bodies, this flesh here that we have. Reading on, verse 29. Are not two sparrows sold for a farthing, and one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not, therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. And that's one of the things that we have to do is confess Christ. Now, I grew up in a Christian church just like many of y'all. And those of y'all who haven't, congratulations. You skipped out on the whole indoctrination in your life, and you have saved your life an entire lifetime's worth of confusion. But when they hear that word confess, 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 we often ask people on the street, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? And nobody can really give an answer. Go to Psalms 105. Contrary to popular belief, the Bible is its own dictionary. Psalms chapter 105, verse 1. O give thanks unto the Lord, call upon his name, make known his deeds among the people. That's one of the things. That's confessing. When you calling on his name, you confessing the name Jesus, you're making known his deeds among the people. What are his deeds? That he came and died for the nation of Israel. That he came as an Israelite, as a man in the flesh, and died for the nation of Israel to get rid of the law of sacrifice. Because without his death, the law of sacrifice would not save us. The law of sacrifice would not keep us where we need to be with the Most High. It wouldn't. It would not. The things that happen with the law of sacrifice is the reason why we went into captivity. Disobedience. We was giving sacrifices and still disobeying God. Giving more sacrifices, more disobedience. Didn't make us perfect. And one of the things that Christ did, he came and he was that sacrifice. He was that ultimate sacrifice so that we wouldn't have to give animal sacrifice no more. So that we could have the grace that we have now. That's confessing. That's what we have to do. He said, verse 32 again, whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess also before my Father which is in heaven. If we do the things that he told us to do, if we let it be known what Christ came to die and do, then Christ is going to let our works be known before the Father, because he is our advocate. Reading on. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. If you are denying Christ, you are not doing the works. The works that he told you to do. That watchman that he told you that you are. And you decide, you know what? I'm too scared. I'm worried about what people are going to say about me. I'm worried about what my mom and them going to think. I'm worried about what my cousin and them going to think. I'm worried about what my friends and all of them going to think. Some of the sisters, they're going to see me in a dress. Or they're gonna see me with a hair wrap. They're going to ask me all kind of questions. Brothers, we're going to be like, oh man, I'm going to grow my beard out. My beard grow patchy. Everybody going to be asking me why I'm growing my beard out. They're going to be asking me why I'm not coming around for the Super Bowl parties, why I'm not coming around for Thanksgiving and Christmas. So what? Don't deny Christ. Don't let that fear stop you from what you need to do. Let that fear of the Lord provoke you to what you need to do. Because fearing what men do and what men think, that's not going to do nothing for you. Verse 34. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. If Christ said, your enemies are going to be they that live with you, they of your own household. It may be they of your own city. It may be them of your own neighborhood. The same people that watched you grow up. Oh, I remember him. I remember her. That's such and such daughter. That's so-and-so grandson. I know her. I know him. Oh, they doing what now? Man, I ain't worried about that. They could talk all that yin yang they want to. But you're the one that's changing. You're the one that knows who you are. You're the one that's keeping the commandments of God. You're the one that knows that without these commandments, there is some punishment to pay. You're the one that know that. And our forefathers knew it too. That's why in this truth, we have to be strengthened by the fact that when we come into this truth, we came into what I just said, the truth. We didn't come into a lie. Christianity is based on lies. So is Islam, so is Buddhism, and every other religion. It's all based on lies. Our God is not. This life that we live, this life that most of y'all are just coming into, that y'all are new to, this is the life now. This is the life. How to be a woman is just now being shown to you. How to be a man is just now being shown to you. Don't be afraid. Because if Christianity was the truth, then why are we living the way we live it? Why do we have to get killed in the street by the same people who call themselves Christians? Why is if Christianity was the truth, why would a demented Edomite be able to go into a church and shoot 9 people? Why did the bombing in Birmingham happen? If Christianity was the truth, was the way? Why does civil rights even have to happen? Why are they taking the Bible out of certain things? Why is there a big attack on the Bible now if Christianity was the truth? Verse 37. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. That's what he means by when he says in verse 33, whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. If you put your family, if you put your job, if you put anything before the Most High God, you're denying Christ. If you put anything before this truth, you're denying Christ. And if you do that to him, he will do that to you. It's going, the worst words to hear is, go, for I never knew you. Depart from me, for I never knew you. That's the worst words to hear. You go through all of this hell in this life to make it all the way to the end, to get told to your face, depart from me, I never knew you. That's some scary stuff. That is some scary stuff. Go to Psalms 56 and 11. That's why in this truth, just take it. Whatever you're going through, just take it. Psalms chapter 56 and verse 11. In God have I put my trust. I will not be afraid of what man can do to me. One of the things growing in this truth is we're afraid of what people say because people are right here. People are right here. You can look to your left, look to your right, and you can see people, and you can hear what they're saying. You can't see the Lord doing his work on the back end. You can't see that, but he is. That's where our faith needs to get built up to. Our faith needs to get built up to that because we can see what God, we can't see what God is doing, but we know if we keep in his commandments, we know that he's going to fight that battle for us. Like I said, we can see men, we can see that we're surrounded. We can see all of the people that's coming against us. We can't see God working on the back end. Having that faith, knowing that he's not going to let nothing come against you. He's not. Like I said before, the weapon won't prosper. He never said it wouldn't form. He never said it wouldn't form. Go to Joshua chapter 5. A lot of times we get those Christianity feelings inside of us. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And some people just, it's a cool saying that a lot of us have. You know what I'm saying? But what does it actually mean? That means that stuff will come against you. But if you have faith, it's not going to affect you. It's not going to prosper. Show you some of the fearless forefathers that we had, like our forefather Joshua. This is Joshua chapter 5, verse 13. And it came to pass when Joshua was by Jericho that he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went unto him and said unto him, Art thou for us or for our adversaries? Do you know who this was? And all praise to the Most High. Deacon Nathan went over this past Sabbath. This was an angel. This was one of the captains of the Lord's hosts. That same captain of the host that stood with Moses. Reading on, it says, And he said, Nay, but as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship, and said unto him, What saith my Lord unto his servant? Joshua came up to him. You got to understand the mentality of our people. Joshua came up to him and hey, are you for us or for our adversaries? With a sword in his hand. Like, look, you trying to get it in? We can get it in. What's up? Who are you? Not knowing who he was, but just look at the fearlessness of our forefathers. The fearlessness of our forefathers. Our forefathers are some of the most famous men in the world. Yeah, you got your actors, you got your rappers, you got your celebrities. But the men in this Bible are the most famous men in the world. Those of y'all who are going out every single day giving the word to the Lord, y'all are the most famous men in the world. Why? Because everybody picks your history up and reads it every week. Even people who don't read this Bible spend time trying to disprove it, which makes them read it. So they read about us and they read about our history, and then they try to disprove our own history to us. That's how important we are. That's how you have to look at things sometimes. Go to 2 Kings chapter 6. 2 Kings chapter 6. And we're going to start at verse 10. Yeah, we're going to start at verse 10. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 10. 2 Kings chapter 6, verse 10. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him and warned him of, and saved himself there, not once nor twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants and said unto them, Will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha the prophet, which is in Israel. telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And he said, Go and spy. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host. And they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host encompassed the city, both with horses and with chariots. And the servant said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. One of the times I remember Captain Isaac actually was teaching on the street, and the Spirit was on him, and he said the same exact thing. There's more around y'all right now than y'all can see. There's more with us than are with them. And a lot of times, like I said earlier, the problem is right here. We can see the problem. We can see, oh, there's people against us. We're surrounded. We this, we that. You can see the problem. But the prophet of the Lord said, don't be afraid. There's more with us than are with them. And we're going to show it. Verse 17. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened his eyes of the young man, and he saw, and behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. So there was angels already there. He saw the problem, but he didn't see the Lord working on the back end. Just like us, we see the problem. What I'm going to do with this? What I'm going to do with that? I got bills here. I got bills there. They got people that's talking about me bad. They got people that's trying to destroy my name. There's stuff that's working on the back end that you can't see. There's angels that's always with us, that's always doing things that we can't see. And our faith is the ones that pushes us to keep on going. It's not about who's doing what to us. It's not about that. It's about, are we going to have faith that no matter what is done to us, the Lord is going to look out if we keep his commandments. We go to 1 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 13. First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 13. Shows about our forefather Judas. It says, Now when Saron, a prince of the army of Syria, heard that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude in the company of the faithful to go out to war, go out with him to war. See, that's what we have to have. That's why a lot of your officers, a lot of your camp leaders, you will hear, if you scared, stay home. If you're afraid, stay home. That's why there's men of valor. That's why the men of valor men, they go, if you are a brother, you go to camp once a month during the fast, and you have to be fasting. That shows a sign of faithfulness. Because just like our forefathers in the past, you have to have faithful men with you at war. There's been some times where stuff got real hectic out at camp. And guess what? The men that was trained, that was going to Camp 101 all the time, that was going to war all the time, those was the ones that held the situation down and dealt with it as such. But without that faithfulness, without them faithful few, you're not going to have that. You're not going to have that. Verse 13 again. Now when Saron, a prince of the army of Syria, heard that Judas had gathered unto him a multitude in company of the faithful to go out to war, to go out with him to war, he said, I will get me a name and honor in the kingdom, for I will fight with Judas and them that are with him, who despise the king's commandment. So one of the princes of the Syrian army, he wanted to get fame for taking us down. Think about that. The other nations have the same mindset. That's what Psalms 83 is about. They all want to get a name for bringing us down. They want to be like, oh, I was the one that brought down the Israelites. I was the one that did this to the Israelites. I was the one that did that to the Israelites. They want to get a name. And so in order to get a name, look at what Israel does for vainglory. Imagine what the heathen does. The people that have no God, that have no rules. Look at what they will do for vainglory to us. That's why they come up with different ways to keep us in sin. They come up with different ways to keep us down, systematic oppression. They come up with ways to keep us lusting after women. You got the Instagram, you got all of these different social media, you know what I'm saying? Everything that you have out here is put against us. It's all to keep us in a sinful mentality. Verse 15. So he made him ready to go up, and there went with him a mighty host of the ungodly to help him, and to be avenged of the children of Israel. And when he came near to the going up unto Beth-horon, Judas went forth to meet him with a small company, who, when they saw the host coming to meet them, said unto Judas, how shall we, being so few, how shall we be able, being so few, to fight against so great a multitude and so strong, seeing we are ready to faint with fasting all this day? So these brothers was fasting. These brothers didn't eat, they didn't drink. And all of a sudden they see this huge host of people coming towards them, and they're looking at Judas like, how we gonna fight? We barely got strength enough to last through the rest of the day. Which that's how it is sometimes. That's how it is sometimes. Sometimes you go through trial after trial after trial after trial. And we know what the scriptures say, this kind goeth not out but by fasting and prayer. Well, guess what? Sometimes that fasting and prayer is the stuff that you have to do to keep you going. Sometimes that fasting and prayer, like when we fast at the end of the month, it's not an easy thing to, well, those of us who are used to it, but it's not an easy thing all the time to go to camp while fasting. Sometimes the Spirit just works through you and you push through it, and you don't really feel it until like the last hour or so of the fast. But sometimes it gets really hot, and it's out there, and we out there in the street, and we bringing the word out, and our bodies are going through it, but you'll never know it because we don't show it. Because we know, hey, we going through this. All right, we got to do this for our people. We got to do this for our people. We continue on, we continue on, we continue on. And that's what they were saying. We can't hardly fight because we about to pass out because of the fast. Read on. Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. And with the God of heaven, it is all one to deliver with a great multitude or a small company. For the victory of the battle standeth not in the multitude of an host, but strength cometh from heaven. That's what we have to understand. It's not about numbers. It's not about this many people and that many people and how many people you got at your camp, how many people you got at this camp, how many people you got that's actually faithful doing the work. It doesn't matter. The Lord can shut up a lot in the hands of a few. Look at Gideon's army. Like he said, and we read it again, verse 18. Unto whom Judas answered, it is no hard matter for many to be shut up in the hands of a few. It's not a difficult thing for the Lord to fight our battles for us. That's why we cannot fear the things that we're going through. The things that we're going through is for us to grow with. It's grow from. It's not a small thing for the Lord to shut up the battle in the hands of a few. That's why he said, many are called, few are chosen. That's why there's 144,000 leaders that are coming up. Why? Because that's a few. The earth got like 7 billion people on it. 144,000 is going to lead over all of that. That should show you something. It should show you something. Go to Matthew chapter 11. Matthew chapter 11. So you had Joshua. He was fearless. You had Judas. He was fearless. And those of y'all who haven't, read the history of Maccabees. Those of y'all who like war, those of y'all who like battle, read the history of the Maccabees. That is some heavy history right there. Matthew 11 and 7. It said, and as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning him, what went ye out in the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? So Christ was basically asking the multitude, when John was teaching, who did y'all go out to see? Who y'all thought y'all was going to see in the wilderness? Some scared little dude? A reed shaking with the wind? Somebody that was trembling? Somebody that was scared, fearful? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft raiment are in kings' houses. It's like even the garments that John wore wasn't soft. He was not a scared person. He was not fearful. Remember what he told the Pharisees. He said, you generation of vipers. He went off on the Pharisees. And the Pharisees was known for yoking people up and grabbing them up and trying to kill them. But John had that no fear on him. John didn't have no fear on him. None at all. That's how we have to be. We have to be like that. With tact, of course. Don't go out and try to reprove everybody that you can and talk about, I ain't got no fear on me. No, you still have to be wise. You still have to be wise. Why he said, I send you forth as sheep among wolves. Be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. What I'm talking about is not fearing what people do, not fearing the people that come against you because of this truth. Why? Because we have the Most High God on our side. We have the truth of this Bible on our side. There is nothing in this world that is going to be able to come against us that we won't handle. Nothing. Remember. Matthew 11 and verse 9. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. So Christ was letting us know that John was not no slouch. John was not one of the people that was a pushover. He wasn't. Remember, John was Elijah. Elijah was, remember, some kids mocked Elijah, and Elijah made a she-bear tear their behind up. Literally. Tore him into pieces. 42 children, because y'all want to mock. Go up, thou bald head. Y'all better read that history. Y'all better read that history. Elijah was no joke, and neither was John. This is not the thing to play around with. Let's read some more history. Go to 2 Kings chapter 18. Second Kings chapter 18, we're going to start at verse 19. And we're going to read down into chapter 19. Because this is some heavy history here. Like a lot of people, like especially those of us that come into this truth, we get told basically when we're about to read it, we get told like, don't think that God ain't with you. Don't think that your truth is better than my truth, or don't think that God ain't gonna protect you. And you hear a whole bunch of foolishness come from our people, and a lot of our people, they have that in their head because what we teach and what we stand for, and the image of black men and black women, Hispanic men, Hispanic women, Native Indian men, Native Indian women, to the Israelites, the image of us is going from what the mainstream media puts out to what the Bible puts out. And that is a completely different image from what everybody is used to. They're not used to black men standing up strong with their heads up, directing the people, taking control, telling our people, stop doing this, stop doing that, don't do this, don't do that. They're not used to that. That's why they come against us so much, because we're the ones that's actually coming out to give the correction that black men have never been able to give all of these years. Since we got off the boat, we wasn't able to correct nobody. We wasn't able to be over nobody. We had like a short 20 years in the early 1900s to be the head of the household. And then after that, the feminist movement moved right on in and moved us right on out. And now that we are coming back as the men of God who we supposed to be, now everybody has a problem. But that's what it's supposed to be. This world is turned upside down. We flipping it right side up. 2 Kings chapter 18, and we're going to start at verse 19. It says, And Rabshakeh said unto them, Speak ye now to Hezekiah. Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this there wherein thou trustest? Thou sayest, But they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for the war. Now on whom do thou trust, that thou rebellest against me? Now behold, thou trustest upon the staff of this bruised reed, even upon Egypt, which if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. So is Pharaoh, king of Egypt, unto all that trust unto him. But if ye say unto me, We trust in the Lord our God, is not that he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah had taken away, and said unto Judah and Jerusalem, Ye shall worship before this altar in Jerusalem? So a lot of times the other nations, they know our history and they know what we're doing. That's why they're able to set up different traps for us. That's why they're able to think ahead. They're able to think ahead because they study us. So when it came down to it, Rabshakeh was telling the people, like, are y'all going to trust in the Lord? Ain't this the same Lord that Hezekiah went ahead and took down the altars with? That same Lord? That's who y'all going to worship? Just like sometimes they have people that come against us and say, oh, the God that's going to let little babies die, that's the God that y'all worship? Y'all worship a God that's going to put you in captivity? Well, he didn't put us in captivity just for the sake of putting us in captivity. He gave us rules. We broke the rules, and guess what? That's the punishment for it. And we agreed to it. Just like all them little dudes there's in these little gangs, even the ones that's in fraternities and all of that, all of these people got rules. All of them got rules. And if you break the rules, you get the punishment for it. Just like with us, with God. God gave us rules. We didn't listen. We got the punishment for it. It's only right. He said that we were going to captivity. He warned us. He even sent prophet after prophet after prophet to warn us and tell us, change your ways. Y'all need to think about what y'all doing. Guess what? We said, you know what? I'm not listening to you. I want to go do what they do. I want to do what the other nations is doing. I don't want to do what God told me to do. I want to do what they do, because that looks more fun than this. And he said, okay, so go do what they do. Go be like them. And when we are like them, we're at the bottom of society. Period. Reading on. Verse 23. Now therefore I pray thee, give pledges unto my lord the king of Assyria, and I will deliver thee 2,000 horses. And if thou be able on thy parts to send riders upon them, how then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain, of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and horsemen. Am I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord said unto me, Go up against this land and destroy it. So basically, the captain of the Assyrian host is like, the Lord told me to do this. Because go to Isaiah 30, real quick. Go to Isaiah 30. One of the things that us as a people did and still do to this day is we trust in Egypt. We trust in Egypt. I don't know why. I got a homeboy that I was in the military with. This dude says like the wildest stuff. You know what I'm saying? He like all glory to Ra and all of these African deities that he's worshiping and stuff like that. This dude be bugged out of his mind. Trusting in Egypt. Like everything is Egypt. Everything is Egypt this, Egypt that, Egypt this, Egypt that. And it makes me wonder, like, why is it that our people are always the Egyptians? Why we ain't never the plate lip Africans? You know what I'm saying? Hold on one second. Yeah, my bad. Like I was saying, we always the Egyptians. We ain't never the plate lip African. Because the plate lip African, that's a little bit too much, right? We always the Egyptians. We always some sort of king or royalty, which is in our people to always think of ourselves as royal, but we're not pharaohs. We're not Egyptians. Isaiah 30, verse 1 said, Woe unto the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth, to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. So when you go back to 2 Kings, this Assyrian captain was saying the same thing. Like, y'all trusting in Egypt, like Egypt is, we about to destroy Egypt too. That's nothing. We can destroy the Egyptians. So if we can destroy the Egyptians, surely we can destroy you. That's how cocky these people were. Back to 2 Kings. 2 Kings 18, we're gonna be at, I'm gonna start at 25 again. It says, Am I now come up without the Lord against this place to destroy it? The Lord said unto me, Go up against this land and to destroy it. Then said Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, and Sheba, and Joah, unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray thee, to the servants of the Syrian, in the Syrian language, for we understand it. And talk not with us in the Jews' language in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh said unto them, Hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men which sit on the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Like, these dudes are straight disrespectful. Like, look, don't, a lot of our people, look, don't let the people hear that. You talk to us. And the other nations, like, I'm talking to everybody. Everybody's going to know. Y'all in for it. Read on. Verse 28, And Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and spake, saying, Hear the word of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you out of his hand. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, the Lord will surely deliver us, and this city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. So that's one of the things that the nations do to us. They will try to stack all of the odds against us and be like, look, the Lord is with us. The Lord isn't with you. And they will play that Jedi mind trick with our people. And some of our people have fallen for it. Some of our people have fallen for it. That's why they fall out the truth and they go back to Christianity. They fall out the truth and they go back to Islam. They fall out the truth and they go back to all Esau's religion. Because they got the odds stacked up against them and they think, oh man, these people, they right. They really might have me trapped. They really might have me this. They really might have me that. That's the same thing that happens with the celebrities that try to speak out. They can't just speak out without impunity. No, they're going to get sat down. They're going to get told, hey, you might want to do this, you might want to do that. Hey, you might want to do that, you might want to do this. And they get cornered, and it's like, oh, man. Same thing happens. Verse 31. Hearken not unto Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and then eat ye every man of his own vine, and every one of his own fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away into a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of oil, olive, and honey, that ye may live and not die. And hearken not unto Hezekiah when he persuade you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. So Hezekiah already knew that we will be delivered. Just like us, we already have to know we're going to be delivered. But the other nations, they will get to certain of our people. They will get to, like the old saying, the weak link break the chain. They will get to those people. Those spirits, Esau can read those spirits. Esau can read those ones that are conflicted. Esau can read those ones that are lukewarm. Esau can read those ones that are wavering. He knows who is who. You may think that it's not visible when people are wavering in this truth, or when people used to put in work and they stop putting in work altogether. They may think that it's not visible. It's very visible. And Esau knows it. Esau knows exactly who to go after. The other nations know exactly who to go after. That's why he said, don't let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord. No, we're going to trust in the Lord because that's what we're supposed to do. Reading on. Have any of the gods of the nations delivered at all his land out of the hand of the king of Syria? So one of the things that people have to understand is, in order to break a people, you have to break their God. You have to break what they believe is a higher power. And with all of the other nations, you can do that. With us, you can't. They have Buddha for the Asians. You can break Buddha. You can take a Buddha statue and break it, and that will cause harm to them. You can go to Mecca. You can destroy the Kaaba stone, and that will do something to them. You can take white Jesus and you can break that, and that will do something to Christians. You can't do anything to our God. There's no image of our God that you can destroy. Everything is based on faith. So if they break your faith, and one of the ways that they break your faith is with fear, then your God becomes nothing to you and you're able to be subject to them. But us as a whole, they can't break us. That's why after all of these years, when we hear the truth of the Lord and we hear the truth of this Bible, all we have to do is hear it, and we're going to change. We never saw prophecies. We never saw fire fall from heaven. We never saw these things that the prophets saw back in the day. Anybody had no visions of pending doom coming in the future. Not like they had in the past. But when we heard the word and we said, you know what? This is for real. That fear of the Lord came upon us and we started to keep the commandments. Nothing that's going on in the world is going to keep us from keeping the commandments. No fear of this world. Verse 34. Where are the gods of Hamath, of Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, Iva? Have they delivered Samaria out of mine hand? And that's what they do. They like the United States. They always say, well, we took over everybody. Everybody's under us. What makes you think that you're going to be delivered? Well, we're going to see. Who are they among you, all the gods of the countries, that have delivered their country out of mine hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of mine hand? But the people held their peace, and answered him not a word. For the king's commandment was, saying, answer him not. So Hezekiah said, look, no matter what they say to you, don't say nothing. Don't say nothing. Isn't that what leadership tells us sometimes? Those of us who are in position, they'll tell you, look, if certain people approach you on the street, don't say nothing. If you're approached by the media, don't say nothing. If you're approached by this person, that person, don't say nothing. It's not a fear of what they're going to say. No, you don't need to say anything. Every single person that comes to us, they know exactly what we're about. They know exactly what we're about. They know exactly what we teach. They know why we teach it. So when they come with those blank questions, well, what do you think? Well, what do you stand for? You already know what we stand for. There's no reason for me to answer you because you can look online. Hey, y'all got to say this name. Y'all got to say that name. Okay, there's bunches of classes that are about the name. If you really are sincere about what you're saying, you can go and watch it, online classes. You can go see plenty of videos of us teaching about the name, of us teaching about the Trinity, of us teaching about the entire. Bishop broke down the entire book of Revelations. You got Revelations questions? We have all classes, 1 through 21 or 22 of Revelations classes that you can go and watch. Verse 32. Then Eliakim came, and then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph the recorder, to Hezekiah, with their clothes rent, told him the words of Rabshakeh. Chapter 19, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the king Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of the Lord. And he sent Eliakim, which was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet of Amos. That's why I went to Isaiah 30, because Isaiah was alive at this time and he was prophesying. Verse 3, and they said unto him, thus saith Hezekiah this day, this is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and blasphemy. For the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. And it may be the Lord thy God will hear all the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria, his master, has sent to him to reproach the living God, and will reprove the words which the Lord thy God hath heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that are left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said unto him, thus shall ye say to your master, thus saith the Lord, be not afraid of the words which thou hast heard, which the servants of the king of Syria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he shall hear a rumor, and shall return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. We read all of that because when the nations came against us right there, and it was like, look, the Lord sent us against y'all. The Lord did this, the Lord did that. Look at all the other gods of the other nations. Look at all of their countries. We took over them. None of their gods helped them. What makes you think your God is going to help you? We are the Assyrians. We are the greatest nation on earth. We are taking over everything. So y'all might want to listen to what we got to say. Because without it, y'all are going to destroy, y'all are going to get destroyed just like every other nation that we came to destroy. And Isaiah, being the prophet that he was like, look, tell him, don't worry about it. He gonna fall by the edge of the sword in his own land. And when you read on in the history, it happened. That dude died in his own country by his own people. Because that's how the Lord works. It's easy. Just like it said in Maccabees, it's easy to shut up many into the hands of a few. It's easy. Remember what the scriptures say in Proverbs. The hand of the king is in the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? The kings that rule this earth, the Lord got control over them. The Lord got control over them. So when it comes down to it, when we are put in certain positions, when we are facing certain trials, when we are facing certain situations that it seems like, oh man, this is it, or this is really a test of your faith, the Lord is in control of all of that. It's not like he's watching and just going to let you just fall. No, he's watching. He's going to see, is he going to trust in me or not? And once that happens, guess what? Deliverance comes. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 17. 1 Samuel chapter 17. Show you another example of trusting in the Lord. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shochoh, which belonged to Judah, and pitched between Shochoh and Azekah and Ephesdammim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side. And there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had a helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. And the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and the target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and the spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. So imagine this, you're at war, okay? You're at war, you're about to fight, and some dude that's like 9 feet tall comes out. I mean, the average height of us is 6 feet, you know what I'm saying? Maybe 6'5", 6'7" if you've been blessed by the Lord. But the average height, 6 feet flat. And a dude that's 3 feet taller than you, weapons way bigger than you, comes out, and you looking at him. This literally happened. Literally. Verse 8. And he stood and cried to the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am I not a Philistine, and ye servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then we will be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then ye shall be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. The nations they're always confident in themselves. And we have to have confidence in the Lord. And just to show you how confident we have to be in the Lord, when we read on, we're going to see who really had confidence in the Lord and who was able to let that problem that they saw affect them. Remember, they can see the problem. They don't see the Lord working on the back end. They can see it. This is 9-foot dude standing in front of us with full battle rattle on, and we looking at him, and he's laughing at us and calling us out. Verse 10, verse 11. And when Saul and all Israel heard these words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of an Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse, and he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 elder sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of the 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, next unto him, Abinadab, and Shammah, and the third, Shammah. And David was the youngest. The 3 elders followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. So for a whole month, this dude is taunting Israel. For a whole month. And that's how you know that they're confident, because they're like a cat playing with their food. I don't have to attack now. I don't have to attack later. I can do whatever I want, because I know that you're afraid of me. I know that you're afraid. We're going to jump over to verse 23. And as he talked with them, behold, there came unto him the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel he is come up. Is he come up? And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? See, that's the confidence that David had as a child. Who the hell? Who is this dude that think he's going to defy Israel? This is the armies of the living God. Who is this dude that thinks that he can talk this way to us? Who is he? That's the confidence that we have to have. That's the confidence that our forefather David had. Verse 27. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, Why comest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him towards another, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered again after the former manner. And the words were heard which David spake, and they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight this Philistine. Imagine this. Imagine you a grown man, and you scared to death of this 9-10-foot dude that's standing in front of you. And the little kid will say, Hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to handle it. That'll mess your head up. Like, man, go sit down somewhere. Talk about you about to fight this dude. But there was something that was in David, that fearlessness that he had. It's like, you know what? I know who our God is. I know who our God is. Y'all may have forgot, but I remember. I remember who our God is. I remember what he did. We the armies of the living God. They ain't nothing. They uncircumcised Philistines. They're not even supposed to talk that way to us. Remember, you remember Exodus 11:7. Against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast. David remembered that. He said, you know what? Nah, this dude not about to get away with that. Verse 33. And Saul said unto David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine and fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant had kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he rose up against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. David was like, look, I just killed a bear and a lion. How many of y'all can say that y'all did that? How many of y'all can say that y'all caught a lion by his beard? Or his mane, that's a beard, and killed him? That's how confident David was. He said, if God delivered me from a lion and a bear, of course he's going to deliver me from this silly, uncircumcised Philistine. Verse 37. And David said, moreover, the Lord that hath delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, the Lord be with thee. So Saul says, you know what? If you that confident, hey, may God be with you. And he probably was thinking in his head, hey, this kid wants his own funeral, let him go to his own funeral. Verse 38. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword in his armor, and essayed to go, for he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with thee, for I have not proved it. And David put them off him. So they put all of this armor on David. Probably looked silly, you know what I'm saying, grown man armor on a little boy. He's like, you know what? This is too much for me. I got to take all this stuff off. And he took a staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip, and in a sling which was in his hand, and drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. So David was like a good-looking young man, and I don't know, maybe it's a New Orleans thing, but people think that. People think that if you're a good-looking person, you're somehow weak, and you can't fight. I don't know if that, yeah, I've seen it in other states too, but still. Verse 43. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said unto David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and spear, and with shield, but I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. You have to think about the confidence, the faith, and fearlessness that David had to say that. Like, look, I'm a kid. You coming to me with all of this stuff that you got on. I'm coming to you by the armies of God, that same God that you just defied. This day the Lord will deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day into the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and with spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. So it's not about the weapons that you have. That's why them crazy coons out there trying to fight Esau with weapons. The battle is not with weapons. The battle is the Lord's. The Lord got the battle. He controls everything that goes on. If he controls life and death, and he controls good and evil, what makes you think he don't control the people that come up against us? He controls everything. If he controls life and death, good and evil, he controls the things that come against us. And by his will being done, that's how we're going to get through the trials. Like when Christ died. Christ was like, look, let this cup pass from me. He had a natural human reaction. He didn't want to die. But guess what? He said, thy will be done. It's the Lord's will. If it's the Lord's will that you die, you cannot stop it. If it's the Lord's will that you live, You cannot stop it. If it's the Lord's will that them trials come against you, you can't stop it. But remember, we have to continue to confess Christ, meaning go out and show who he is. Tell of the deeds of him, who he came for, who he died for, why he died. He didn't die so we can do whatever the hell we want to do. He died so that we can keep the commandments of God and live. Verse 48, and it came to pass when the Philistine arose and came drew nigh to meet David, David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk in his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. You gotta understand, a 12-year-old don't have that kind of strength naturally. You have to have spiritual strength behind you for you to throw a rock at somebody and it be dead on and hit their forehead and sink in it like a bullet. That's how hard it was thrown. But that's the God that we serve. That's the strength that we have when we do what he asks us to do. It's not impossible. All of the stuff that comes against us is not impossible for us to make it out of it. It's not. All we have to do is have the faith and not fear, and God is going to make it happen. And go to Psalms 20 and 7. If a child can have that much faith, what does it say about us? We have to have that kind of faith. Because fear in this truth is detrimental to your faith. The moment that you start to fear, the moment that you start to be afraid of the things that's going on in this truth, that's when you stop succeeding. That's when that protection that you have, once you start to question the protection, is gone. It's not going to happen. Because God is like, look, do you not believe me? Do you not believe that I said that I was protecting you? Do you not believe that I said that I would do whatever you need? You don't believe that? Psalms chapter 20, verse 7. Some trust in chariots and some in horses, but we will remember the name of the Lord our God. So, and this is King David. Just like he said right before he fought the Philistine, you trusting in all of that armor that you got, I got the name of the Lord behind it. That's it. That's it. And the name is his reputation of saving Israel, his reputation of fighting for us from the time of Egypt all the way up until now. Go to Psalms 27 and 1. Psalms chapter 27, verse 1. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall we be afraid? There is nobody that we should be afraid of. Zero. Nobody. We're going to teach this truth until God sees fit that he comes back or that we die. We're going to teach this truth. A lot of us, we went hard in the world for foolishness. We went hard behind gangs. We went hard behind music. We went hard behind acting. We went hard behind your job. Went hard behind the military. Some went hard behind whatever. But now that you're in this truth, go hard behind that. Don't worry about what everybody else can do to you, because they can't do nothing unless the Lord allowed it. Just like the man that came and cursed out David. And they was like, man, let's take his head from his shoulder. David said, no, don't do that. The Lord allowed him to come out and curse me like that. Maybe it's for a reason. And that's what we have to look at. Maybe the trials that we're going through is for a reason. Don't fear it. Look at it as what's the lesson in this that I need to learn? And that takes time. That takes time to get to that level. It's not just going to automatically happen. That's why we have to meditate in the word day and night. We have to meditate in the word day and night. Watch the classes. Read your 4 chapters today. We have to do that. That keeps our strength. That keeps our faith. Go to Psalms 37 and 5. Psalms 37 verse 5. Commit thy way unto the Lord. Trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So when we read the things in the Bible, we have to trust in the Lord. We have to trust in the Lord. He said, if you ask anything according to the will of God, he's going to hear you. So if your prayers ain't getting answered, you're probably asking some wrong stuff. You can't ask for stuff to stun on people. You can't ask for stuff to, consume it upon your own lust. If you need something, ask for it. If the nation needs something, pray for it. The nation needs laborers. The nation needs the ability for the leadership to go and to travel all of these different places. You know that there's places that if we go to, there's a possibility of being arrested. There's a possibility of getting killed. And all of them chances are taken because the leadership that we see don't have fear. The men that are put over us that we can see every single day, they don't have fear on them. And from being around them, you can see that that same spirit will rub off on the men that's under them. That fearless spirit, that spirit of, look, we're going to do this work no matter what. Because what else is there to live for? What else is there to live for? Look at the world that we live in. There is nothing else out there that we can live for besides these laws, statutes, and commandments. Nothing. Go to Psalms 125 and 1. A lot of people may not believe it. But outside this truth, this world is against you. Every single part of it. You may have a way to get a whole lot of money. But guess what? That money not gonna last. It's not. None of that money is gonna last. None of that money is gonna save you. You can ball out. You can do whatever you want to do, and guess what? You're gonna lose your soul. You go through all of this hell in this life, and then you look for pain after death? If it be the Lord's will, I pray the Lord don't take that spirit from me. Psalms chapter 125, verse 1. They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. That's a heavy scripture because it's telling us that Zion, Israel, lasts forever. All of them people, oh, Israel is done away with. Oh, no, there's no more Israel. There's no more. That's done. It says, what? They that trust in the Lord shall be as Mount Zion, which cannot be removed, but abideth forever. If you trust in the Lord, you're going to abide forever. If you trust in the Lord and you have no fear, you're going to abide forever. You're going to live forever. Because if you don't fear what man can do, and you trust in the Lord, you're going to keep his commandments. Keeping his commandments is the way to get the kingdom. The kingdom is eternal life. It all goes hand in hand. It all goes hand in hand. Go to Genesis 15 and 1. Genesis chapter 15, verse 1. And after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abram in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. So when the Lord came to talk to Abraham, before his name was Abraham, it was Abram. When he came to talk to him, he said, look, don't fear. Don't fear. Don't be afraid. I'm going to go before you. I'm your shield and your exceeding great reward. I'm your protection. That's why when people leave this truth, when they leave what the Bible says to do, if you got a problem with somebody and you don't solve that issue, you have left what the Bible says to do. That's why he says, if you bring your gift to the altar and you got something against your neighbor, first go be reconciled to your neighbor and then come bring your gift. You can't be reconciled to the Lord if you ain't reconciled to the person next to you. And a lot of people, that's a hard pill to swallow, but it is what it is. Go to Exodus 14 and verse 10. Exodus 14 and verse 10. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted up their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried unto the Lord. And they said unto Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die in the wilderness. So once again, we saw a great company coming against us, our enemies coming up against us, and then automatically we get shook. Automatically. Why? Because we can see the problem. We can't see God working on the back end, but we see the problem right here in our face. It's not about the problem that we see in our face. It's about who's working on the back end. Remember, it was God's will to harden the heart of Pharaoh. It was God's will to send those armies after us. Why? To show his power. Things happen so God can show his power. Reading on, verse 13. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, stand still, see what the salvation of the Lord, and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. That's one thing that we have to understand. The Lord is going to fight for us. All we have to do is keep the commandments. That's us holding our peace. Us holding our peace is keeping the Sabbath day holy, keeping today, the new moon, holy, going out to camp, teaching the word of God, bringing repentance to the people, bringing solutions to the problems that plague our people. That's us holding our peace. Not just sitting back, not doing nothing. Us holding our peace is doing what the Lord told us to do. We don't have to fight. We don't have to pick up arms. We don't have to do nothing. All we got to do is what the Lord said to do. That's it. And once we start to do that, then we'll start to see the salvation of the Lord. Last scripture, Psalms chapter 3, verse 6. Psalms chapter 3, verse 6. I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people who have set themselves against me round about. Arise, O Lord, save me, O my God, for thou hast smitten all my enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly. Salvation belongeth unto the Lord. Thy blessing is on thy people. Salah, in all praises. So remember, we don't fear what the other nations do. We don't fear the schemes, the scams, and all of that stuff of the other nations. We trust in the Lord. And we keep his commandments without fear. Why? Because that fear that we have, that starts to jump on us, is going to jeopardize our faith. We have faith in the Lord because we know on the back end, he's the one that's controlling everything. He's the mastermind. If something is coming against us, it must be for a reason. It must be either to prove us or to purge us. That's it. If something is coming against us, it's to prove us or to purge us. Purge us of people who may have that spirit of fear on them, that won't shake that spirit of fear, or to prove us to see whether or not we're going to trust in the Lord. And that's what I leave y'all with today. I pray that we all, myself included, I pray that we all learn to trust in the Lord and don't have fear. Because even after this, true, the Lord may say, all right, you gave a whole class about no fear. Let's see if you will not have fear and put me through some stuff. It's not like it ain't happened before. So all praise to the Most High. I pray that y'all was edified. Pray y'all got something out of this class. Remember, we do not serve the Lord with fear. All right? We do not serve the Lord with fear. And that fear being of the other nations. We serve him with fear of his judgments. All right? We serve him with fear of his judgments, not of other nations or what men can do to us or what they think that they can do to us. All right? So I pray that y'all was edified. I pray that y'all got something out of this class. Lord's will. Y'all have a good rest of y'all new moon. Most High in Christ bless. Oh yeah, I gotta leave off with the thing. Israel United in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1. And with that I say, Shalom.